Okay guys, today we're going to talk about 2-point perspective and how it compares with 1-point perspective. The first thing you might notice that there's a number 2 there, so it looks like we're going to be dealing with 2 vanishing points this time. The other thing that you might notice is that we're dealing with our viewpoint has changed. We can now see the corner of these forms, these box forms, and the corner of these forms are the closest thing to the viewer. Let's look at one of these samples. Okay, so we need a horizon line. We've established that with 1-point perspective, and I'm going to make a horizon line that's just straight across our landscape piece of paper, and I'm going to make 2 vanishing points, VP1 and VP2, vanishing point 1 and 2, and they're both going to be on either side of the horizon line. Now, really these can go anywhere, but we never want to put these really close together because we limit our drawing ability and our drawing space, and we get really cramped really fast. So the further we can spread these out, the more room we have. And I'll show you a couple of ways later on where we can really maximize this ability. So I've laid down 2 orthogonal lines from each vanishing point. Notice that they're crisscrossing the bottom below the horizon line, almost in like a pound sign kind of format, making like a little grid. I've outlined the bottom, what will eventually become the bottom of our box, in that magenta foreshortening square there at an angle. I'm now going to draw 4 vertical lines that will serve as our side of our box. And finally, that closest corner to the viewer right there. Notice that it right lines up almost with our back corner. That's okay, sometimes that will happen. So we have 4 vertical lines that are all parallel, and we're going to follow this same type of format when we draw other types of forms for boxes. You're going to find that vertical lines are the only lines that are parallel with each other. Every other line that you create that's going to be emanating from vanishing point 1 or 2 are going to be at an angle. So I'm going to do that crisscross method again for the top of our box. Notice I'm trying to match up where those intersect with orthogonal lines from vanishing point 2. They're right there. And then I'm going to pull out another orthogonal line from vanishing point 2 over to another one in vanishing point 1 right there. And I need to make sure these match up, because now it looks as though when I finalize this box and on another layer, that I can really get these to seamlessly match up and look really nice. Let's see what that looks like. Notice, just like our 1-point perspective, this form of a box is straddling both the top and the bottom of our vanishing point, and therefore we can't see the top or the bottom. Okay, let's try another one just for practice. This time I'm going to do another horizon line, 2 vanishing points on either side. And I'm going to start out and make this closer to the left vanishing point, or vanishing point 1. And let's see what that does to our box form. So I'm going to pull out some orthogonal lines from both vanishing points. Remember to do 2 each. 2 from vanishing point 1, 2 from vanishing point 2, and make sure that they all intersect. And so you make this kind of hashtag looking shape. this time. Notice I'm not doing that back line, that fourth one, because I want this form to be solid. If I wanted it to be transparent, I would do that back line. And now I'm gonna go and do some more orthogonal lines. Notice that front corner that's facing us right there. It's the closest thing to us. I want those orthogonal lines to match up really well. And I am done with this one. Let's see what this looks like when we darken in those lines and move everything else out of the way. And just as a reminder, like there before, there are no parallel horizontal lines. All of our horizontal lines that we had in 1-point perspective are now at different angles because they all converge. All these three orthogonal lines converge to vanishing point 2. And the ones on the left side all converge to vanishing point 1. So that's a key difference between 1-point perspective and 2-point perspective. Okay guys, this one I'm going to play pretty fast, but I'm going to do the same exact thing, but this time I'm going to make my form up above the horizon line, and let's see what happens. And just like before, there are only 3 parallel vertical lines. Notice that this form is solid, and just like in 1-point perspective, this form is above the horizon line, so we can see the bottom of that form. Okay, so just like in 1-point perspective, let's try to draw multiples of these box forms consecutively in 2-point perspective. Let's see what happens. Are missing here. The top portion of those boxes that are being hidden, the 2 boxes right there, the lines are hidden to make us look like, right now they just look like they're flat, but once we add in some ortho lines going to vanishing point 2, that starts to add in our 3D effect. And so now that they have some thickness and some weight, and they actually carry that weight, even though that they're behind the first box. Let's solidify this and see what happens. Okay, just erasing some of my lines that I've darkened in. And now I can get rid of the background and all my construction lines, and then pull some fancy footwork out and see what this looks like when I mirror this design. let's see what happens. Just a couple of ideas to keep our ideas flowing as we're working. Now I know that I've done a lot of this, all of it, in a program called Procreate on my iPad, but we can do the exact same thing in pencil and pen and try to replicate this. All right, guys, we'll see you soon. Let's do this together.